Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your host, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I am Jugrnaut,
I am Mike Trauma D.
and every week we get together to create the music business podcast, Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, to just help new artists, producers, uh, songwriters, etc. Just kind of learn different things about the music business, talk about different music business tips and topics, and just to give everybody some information on how to navigate this crazy music business. Um, if it's your first time here, welcome. If you haven't already, make sure that you're, like, commenting, following, subscribing, notifications, whatever it is that you need to do to kind of keep track of what the content is going to be given every week. So to this week, we want to get into something a little bit different. Well, I wouldn't even say a little bit different, but it's been the topic of conversation a lot that we've been seeing. We've been seeing some of these most recent situations with artists like Fivio Foreign and Mase, and we wanted to talk about like the pros and the cons of artists signing with other artists, right? Like what's really good behind that, or artists signing with other producers. Like, what's the pros? What's the cons? How does it help you? How might it not help you? What to look out for on both sides, because the artists that are signing to other artists, there's some things you need to look out for, and then the established artist signing the new artist, some things to look out for, and then the new artist signing to the established artist, there's some things to look out for. But we wanted to kind of get into it, touch a little bit. So the most recent issue that we've been seeing is with the Mase and Fivio situation, and a lot of that news came forward because there was like a clip going around of Fivio saying he signed to Mase for like $5,000,
Hmm.
and that got everybody up in an uproar because they were like, "How can Mase do that?" After complaining about how he was treated by Puff and so forth and so on. So there was a lot of misinformation that was sliding back and forth, and then Mace finally came out and was like, "Listen, I got the receipts. The $5,000 was just me giving him some bread so that I had the permission to rep him, right? So basically, it was like I'm giving you $5,000 so that you can sign this contract, so that I can go out now and represent you legally, and in good faith, here goes the 5 grand. And then as I get more bread, I'm gonna break you off the more bread based off of the type of deal that I get you. And I think people kind of just took the 5,000, or you shouldn't sign for 5,000, and ran with it. So let's get into that. Let's talk about what was even the issue where we're talking about an
Because he
artist
was
of Mace's magnitude signing anybody.
because
And
he ended up he ended up getting the deal and giving him like 700,000 or 750.
he winds up getting a deal worth 1.5 million.
Right, and they split it pretty much.
Right. Like, so he really was able to perpetuate a deal for an artist that the artist couldn't perpetuate themselves. And just but just the fact that they came out in a public forum and said, "Hey, he gave me $5,000," it was already disingenuous. And just to say that, just to put that narrative out there, knowing full well that man negotiated you damn near $2 million deal off of really nothing. You know,
Well,
and
this whole internet thing, they're gonna just jump on the headlines and blow that up for clickbaits and that game. But it does make you want to talk about a deeper matter. In again, when you talk about signing to other artists, I mean that's a good conversation, and it really just comes down to what is your goal as an artist. Where are you in your career and in your grind. Because those are two things you got to really think about before you even step forward in trying to sign with an artist. You got to look at your situation. Do you and this artist are you in a similar audience? Or do you make similar music? You know, Creatively, are you in a similar space? You know, um, what is the artist offering? You know, is it realistic? You know, there's a lot of questions you got to ask yourself. You know, and you can't get overwhelmed with, you know, the shiny stuff, as we say. You can't get overwhelmed with the, you know, it's all smoke and mirrors. You know, you can't get a nice meal and then think that, oh, it's going to be like this. You got to be realistic. And I think one of the most important things that artists, upcoming artists, forget is that regardless if you're signed to a artist, or signed to a producer, or signed to even to a major record label, you still have to put in that grind like you're not signed, you know. And then a lot of times, you know, artists just depend too much on the other party. They depend too much on the other artist. They depend too much on the label, and they either stop or don't do the grind work, you know, that they're supposed to do. So, you know, signing to another artist, it has its pros and cons, but you know, you have to realistically sit down and figure out, okay, you know, how is this going to benefit me? And of course, the artist is going to want something in return, and you have to figure out um, the it what they want. Is it something that you can provide? You know, or are they going to be taking too much? You know, you got to think about those things. You know, are they going to want your masters? Are they going to want your publishing? You know, are they going to want your entire advance and they want to run your entire project where you have no say? Will you have creative control? You know, how long are the terms of the agreements? Is it one of those agreements where you're going to be doing like 5 to 10 years? Is it album deals? Is it a 360 deal? Do they want part of your merch? Do they want part of your life story? Like,
Everything. Do they
like,
want
like
your
you know,
everything?
you gotta really look at those things and really think about it, because you could be making a deal that's going to keep you where you're currently at for a very long time, which kind of goes against, you know, the reason why you may have wanted to sign.
I think what happens in this Fivio situation, which I think sometimes it works my nerves a little bit, is that this music business is gated. I want people to understand when I say that it's gated. It's not a situation where it's like, hey, everybody, just everybody just come on in, right?
Hmm.
Everybody could just come on in and come get this big money on the other side of the gate. That's not how it works, right? So I see a lot of people talking about, like, like, why would he sign with Mase? So why would he do this and why would he do that? Like, he did it for the access.
Right.
It's the access, people. Like, people have to realize is that who this person knows and who that person knows is the difference maker between those kind of deals being made. It's the access. It's never about, people like to think that, hey, if the music is dope, the music is what makes it all go. That is not true.
You could only get so far.
Right. You can only get so far with good music. You getting with the bars and all of that, yeah, that's great. But listen, if you don't have access, when we're talking about large scale deals like that for Fivio, like 1.5, for a virtually unknown artist that they considered over the hill, right? Because they said the first Def Jam said that he was too old,
Hmm.
right? They said they didn't want to sign him because he was too old, because he was in 30, he was 30, right? So already they had already dismissed him based off of his age,
Wow.
right? So now here comes this guy. He creates the deal with a Columbia / Sony executive who
Had
used
ties to Bad Boy, right?
that you had ties to Bad Boy. He used to be Bad Boy Street Team.
There you
So
go.
now this guy has been in the music business 20 years, elevated himself to the point where he can make this deal, has this relationship with Mase, right?
Hmm.
Gets it to the point where he can get certain people to work the records. Because that's another thing Mase was saying that he was doing. He was getting certain people with different relationships to work the records for him in the street.
Hmm.
Like, come on, this is all relationships, man. So I don't like to see the artists acting as if, like, yeah, I made myself hot. I did this, I did that. We're not taking away from that. I'm not taking away from that. We're not. But you still need somebody to walk you into those rooms. You know,
Yeah.
and then the thing that Mase did, which was the smartest thing that Mase did, was I needed to sign him first. I needed to sign him into a situation where I could represent him, and I had full control over the representation to get the deal. He said because if he got him in the room, he said he would burn us.
But here's the flip side, though. Not everyone. That deal is not good for everyone. You know, it
It's
really
not.
depends.
It's not good for everybody. But when we're talking about new artists who
Mhm.
may not understand the dynamics of the music industry, like if he had gotten in the room, he'd have sold them way, way, way shorter than that.
You're right. That absolutely. You know, and you know, if it was a different person representing him, you know, they probably would have took everything.
That's
You
another thing.
know,
Like you
so
said, like if Mase wasn't stand up, right?
right.
If Mase was a different type of cat, he could have went in and took it all.
He did take. He did take the Masters. It seems like.
I mean, he got to take the master. He didn't take the publishing. He didn't take the
Right.
publishing. He didn't take the. He didn't 360 him.
Right.
So he maintained. So he maintained the master.
Gotta get something.
Got to get something.
Yeah.
If he's the label, he's going to get the masters. You know that, and
Right.
I know that.
Right.
Right.
So yeah. So you know, you're right. If you know the young guy goes into these boardrooms, sits down with these executives, you know, hungry, you
Hungry.
know,
Like let's
just,
say that literally. Like
you,
hungry. We're
you
not
know,
talking. We're not talking about like, we're talking about people who are very desperate. And I don't want to take away from that because we're talking about people wondering how they're gonna eat from one meal to the next. In some
so
cases, in a lot of
like
cases.
let's put it in some real context. You know, you got your artists from the hood, you know, trying to get out, dodging street beefs, you
Yeah.
know, not sure where the next meal coming from, just in there, 1 foot in, 1 foot out for probably going to prison or making the wrong move, and so you're in an office like Def Jam, sitting with an executive, plaques on the wall of all the prior success, and this executive is right here that can change your life with probably the snap of a finger. you know, just by saying we have a deal, it could change your life. You know, it's a very good chance that you jump at anything to get that deal. So what Mace did was he removed that situation, and he went in there and negotiated something, and look where he's at now.
Yeah.
You know, he got records with Alicia Keys, got records with Chris Brown. I mean,
can't
man,
complain. You can't complain, man. Like man, change your life.
Yeah. So
like the man changed your life. So I don't even understand why he's even talking about the context of what Mase gave him. Like why are we talking about that? Like it almost felt like intentional slander.
Now I don't know, any additional aspects of the deal. I don't know the contract. I don't know. So I don't know if there's anything else in there that may have provoked that. But from outside looking in, this guy has, like I said, he has records with some of the biggest artists right now.
Yeah.
And if you can't use that to continue your career and continue making opportunities for yourself, then that's that has to be on the artist.
Yeah, joint don't make any sense to me. Like I was just kind of listening to that, and then as Mase had to come on and had to go through the receipts, had to show the contracts, like you know what I mean? Like it was, and he basically was saying in a nutshell that he had to do all of that because it was going to impact some other future business that he was trying to carry on with.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because of the misinformation that came out. He said it was going to, it was going to derail some of the other business that he had going. And he said, I can't have that come out like that. So I got to correct him publicly the way he said it, what he said, and then he had to come out and he had to correct him behind it. And again, like, you know, we're talking about pros and cons, like you said, what's some of the best ways or why they should be signing with artists. The main thing to sign, if you're ever going to sign with an artist, it's about the access. Period, point blank, period. It's about the access. The relationships, folks, are probably worth more than anything else that you can muster in this game. It's the relationships. It's being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, such and such, can you help me with this?
Right. Right. If you don't have the access.
If you don't have the access, you don't got anything. Yeah. Right? And that's the situation that I don't think a lot of people seem to understand. Like when we were moving some artists around, you know, maybe prior to COVID, we were moving some artists around, and there was always the question of, you know, why can't I come in these meetings with you? And it's like, it's our relationship.
Right. Right.
Period. It's our relationship. It's based off of what we did. It's based off of who we are. You know, it's not based off of nothing else. So it's for us to control. It's for us to manage singularly. What we never want to happen is we never want somebody else to come in and destroy the relationship that we took years to build.
Right. Right. And mess up the potential deal and at the same time.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not something everybody thinks about the now, but no one thinks about the perpetuity. No one thinks about like this person will be here this year. This person may be, you know, they're head of Def Jam today, but they may be head of Universal or Paramount sometime. You know, who knows? You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. So the game here is to preserve relationships at all costs.
Don't break them. Don't burn
bridges.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You don't know who's going to be up. So you don't never burn any bridges. You know what I'm saying? If you have a disagreement, it's okay to have a disagreement, but some of your things that, you know, your personal vitriol that you might want to spew out and tell people fuck you, whatever, so forth, keep that shit to yourself, because you don't know who's going to be where. It's 6, 8 months, 9 months. Shit changes. Like, it's musical chairs.
Yeah.
So the relationship. So if we're talking about an artist signing to other artists, it's about the relationships. Period. Point blank. Period. And what your job is to do as a new artist coming in is to build your network of relationships. Make sure that you know the people. Make sure that you understand who does what. What's the area of expertise?
Yeah.
And be able to leverage those relationships at all costs. This is a social business of relationship building. If you are not in this game and you're not building a relationship with the A&R rep this week and the marketing and salespeople next week, like, these people aren't going to work your record.
They're not.
If these people don't like you, you know how many times we watch projects just fail based on the building don't fuck with an artist?
Yeah.
when the building don't fuck with you, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like, it don't matter how dope your music is.
It don't matter if you're signed there. It don't matter. It don't matter if you're on the roster. If the individuals in that building don't rock with you, you're not a priority. You got to think about it, man. They have so many other projects that they have to work. You know, when the radio person or promo or marketing has to make their pitch, there's only a small window at a certain time. So a lot of times they gotta pick and choose.
Yep. Tell them, like, I don't think they really understand. It's like, you know, so it just can't be about this thing where, you know, you're trying to, you know, belittle people, put people in their place. You're trying to play these type of games. Like, no, every integral, like, no one stays in that one department. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If we're talking about from the Kevin Lyles, like from where they start to where they finish, like, it doesn't matter the Puffs from where they start to where they finish. Yeah. Like, they never, the ambitious folks going to continue to move, and it's always incumbent on you to make sure that you're building the relationships with people who are on the move. Period.
Yeah.
There's a reason why those folks get into those buildings in the first place, is because they're go-getters and they're self-starters. So you cannot be in this situation destroying relationships. So when you sign in with a new artist, or a new artist is signing with an established artist, understand that you are getting that established artist Rolodex, right? If that artist has a lot of connections, that's worth more than it's worth more than any amount of money in the beginning.
However, you have to take it upon yourself as an artist to nurture those relationships. You can't sit back and just wait for the artist to tell you to come on the road or to do this or do that. You got to show up. You got to work. You got to show that you want to be there. You got to ask questions. You got to do your research. There's a lot of things you got to do, and away from the actual music, and too many times, you hear about the disgruntled artist that signed, and then now he's making diss records against the artist that signed you, and it's like there's a lot of disloyalty, and there's a lot of artists that's just don't realize, like, yo, this other artist took a chance on you. He didn't have to reach out to you. He didn't have to sign you. He didn't have to include you in his circle. There's tons of other artists. Tons.
Tons.
You know, so you can't always look at the other artists and, blame them for, your career not moving. You know, it really comes down to you and what you're doing with it. Even if you got a bad deal, even if you got a bad situation, it really comes down to you and the moves that you're going to make, and you have to be responsible for you. Can't always be pointing a finger, upset with someone else. This is your career. You got to be in the driver's seat. You got to make the decisions. You got to do the research. You got to get out there and network. You got to know who's who. You have to do it.
It's a lost art, and I wish more people would teach artists or teach people how to do it, because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not, like, it's
But
something that you have to learn, and it's not the easy thing to do, to go out here and build these relationships with people, because you have to be able to offer some level of value back, right? And then
yeah,
you have to build that value and be able to have that to give to other people, and then to kind of create these relationships. Um, it's tough, and it's really tough, and it's something that is a very lost art. People look at the Jay-Z's of the world, and they're trying to figure out, like, how did he become so prominent? And it's like, it's the relationships.
right.
The man knows how to move through buildings and create relationships. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? If you talk about Kanye West now, people may say he doesn't build the relationships, but he builds the value, right? So he's built the value to the point where now the relationships have to come because his value is so great.
right. It's
So
like relationships are forced.
right, he forces the relationships based off of like you said, of the value that he's created for himself.
Right.
So you can't deny that. But the minute that you go cold, whew, the folks gonna want to shut those doors so fast on your ass, right?
Right.
So you got to make sure that if that's the route you're taking, that you have a way of creating perpetual value over time, because
Yeah.
them folks can't wait for it, like in a Dame Dash kind of sense. They couldn't wait for it. They couldn't wait for the dynamic to change and for them to
Hmm.
shut him out.
Right.
And that was based off of the value that that he had with Rockefeller, and then when Rockefeller changed, it's like,
Hmm.
okay, we don't got to deal with you anymore. They
Right.
start,
That's typical. That's
yeah.
typical. But I
But
think
that's
also, you know, a lot of upcoming artists have a false perception of uh, what the artist that they sign to, what they're supposed to get. I think they go into these situations thinking that, oh, I'm gonna be featured all over their album now. I'm gonna be, headlining on shows with them. I'm gonna be, I think they have this false idea of what they're getting when they sign to an artist. And again, you're getting the plug, okay, to say
Yeah.
you're getting opportunity to be in these rooms to know who's who. You're getting an opportunity to be in an inner circle that you have access to ask questions. You have access to see behind the scenes how certain deals are happening, who's shaking hands with who, you know, who's this guy, who's that guy,
Yep.
you gotta take note, write it down. Okay, this is the marketing guy, he handles this. Okay, this is the radio promo guy, he handles this. If I need something, this is the guy that handles that. Okay, let me introduce myself because I'm here. This guy, the artist I'm signed to, or has already vouched for me,
Yep.
just me being here. So now I'm able to go up to this guy, shake his hand, introduce myself. You know, the big homie just put his arm around me, co-sign me. Okay, so now I gotta work this relationship. You
Right.
know, and you have to do that. You have to do that with all these and create your own Rolodex, and that's what you need. And you got to think about it. Like the major artist, the artist that quote unquote put you on, he still has to maintain, his thing. He still has to be an artist. He still has his ship that he has to run. He has to continue to make himself relevant. He still has moves he has to make. He can't spend all his time focusing on you. He can't babysit, you know. So a lot of these artists coming up, they I think they get that misconstrued and think that, once I'm signed to a major artist, he or she is gonna shift all of their attention totally to me.
Can't do it
They,
that way.
they can't. They got projects, they got things they got to do,
Yeah.
and some of them have five, six, seven other artists as well. You
But you
know,
said something that was really important in saying that the artist relevancy, you're tied to that artist's relevancy.
right?
So if that artist all of a sudden starts to fall off,
Hmm.
the leverage that you had, you'll start to lose that as well, because your validation and your some of your valuation is tied to that artist. You see
Right,
what I'm saying? So you don't want that artist to um, take their eyes off the ball and start to decline while you just signed to them. You actually want them to go a little bit harder, and then you need to be doing what you're doing on your side to kind of match their energy, so
right,
that you can kind of ride that wave. Because once they start to decline, you know those calls don't get picked up as fast as they used to,
right,
and you have to make sure that you're supporting the artists to make sure that they're getting where they need to go. And what I like to see a lot of times with a lot of artists that sign to other artists is they're in the studio, they're helping build those songs with the artists,
yeah,
to make sure that we're continuing to keep that relevancy going and giving some of that energy of their own music to the artists, and vice versa,
right.
to kind of make sure that they can continue to kind of keep flourishing. But when you were talking about loyalty, and that there was another thing that just recently came out with Irv Gotti, Drink Champs, and he was talking about the loyalty with Ashanti, and we all know that they had a personal relationship, so forth and so on, and you know he was talking about why he was bothered by her saying that she no longer wanted to do anything Murder Inc. And he said that was probably more hurtful than them having their personal relationship end. Because eventually she started to date Nelly or something like that. But what's your thought on that? And how loyal somebody puts you on? Right. Let's talk about the people who get put on. This if
Hmm.
you're the Dr. Dre's who put on the Snoop Dogs, or the Dr. Dre who puts on the Eminem, or the Eminem who puts on the 50 Cent. Right. Like, these people are loyal to the end, right? To Irv's point, should she display that same level of loyalty, or should it be a point to where she don't own anything anymore?
Well, I think it's on a a case by case basis, honestly. Um, Only because I don't know the interactions between Irv and Ashanti. I don't know what happened, you know, because there are some things that can happen that can void out. Like, I don't want to rock with you. There could be some things that I've done, you know, illegal things, whatever. Maybe some way one was treated. I mean, you're dealing in this world, or you're dealing with society in this Me Too era. So you just never know. I'm not saying that's what the situation was. Let's just say
Right.
that, but you got to be very careful, of quote unquote how loyal, because you could put yourself into a bad situation if a person may have been abusing you or whatever the case may be, and you stay in that situation. However, if someone puts you on, you know, you should at least recognize that publicly. The way they publicly recognize you and put you on, you should always publicly recognize them and give them credit for doing that for you, no matter how the situation went. You know, as far as continuing business, it really depends, because you could have been successful together, but if you had a really bad business situations, you may not want to deal with the business aspect. Or if you're going to, you need to negotiate it to a point where you feel comfortable. You should at least, hear the person out, or hear the business aspect out, because this person did put you to a certain place. Um, but yeah, I think it's a case by case basis, and um, I think with Irv, I think it's different. With Irv, in that Irv situation, is different because there was a personal relationship going on. So when you throw that into the mix, you know, you could kind of see why it's understandable. If the relationship went sour on a personal level, then you could understand why. Okay, maybe she may not want to deal with him because she don't want to do this or do that. She's maybe on a personal level, but business wise, it looks like it could be something that's be beneficial for her, in this current state where she is now. So that's what I think.
It's really strange because I see her still, again, we're on the outside looking in. She still rocks with Rule, anything that Rule needs from her, apparently he's able to get it. It's a different type of bridge with them. Um, but I see your point, and I see Irv's point, and I think with Irv, um, like when you talk about the things that he needed to do to make sure that that was a successful artist. Like I don't know if there's an artist in history who got a greater alley oop than her. If somebody, tell me I'm bugging, tell me I'm tripping, but I cannot recall an artist in recent history who has had the type of alley oop or the type of put on that Ashanti has got put on with her label. Outside of maybe a big Lil Kim type situation, or you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And in her own right, she was able to become successful on her own, right?
Right.
Um, with her, it's like every single song that's prominent or big
Hmm.
is tied to Murder Ring. Period. Point blank.
Right.
Either they produced it or they wrote it.
Right.
Outside of Murder Ring, it's like there's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's a little bit of there's a lot of disloyalty with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like listen, you can't, you know, you can have your beef or you can have your situation, but again, it's like but it might just be men, the way men may think of certain things versus the way that
Right.
sort of thing.
That's what I think.
And then you were saying it too. It's like the loyalty that we're looking at, or the loyalty that I might be having in my brain, this it's still streets to that. Like
Right,
I
right,
this. Sometimes when we're dealing with, if you're a street guy, you're gonna have a different level of loyalty when it comes to different type of shit.
right.
It is what it is. So it's different if you're not from that cloth, if you don't come from that, if you don't understand how that moves. Maybe they were saying something toward the degree that the indictment stuff might have just been too much.
Right. Yeah. And for ordinary person, that would be considered us really.
A
I
game
mean,
changer, right?
I mean,
Deal breaker, right?
yeah. I mean, for probably for anybody, that's really scary. The feds are looking at you and everything, and a lot of those things are probably scary. And this is additional to the personal relationship. Um. So yeah, you know, he's probably looking at it from through a certain lens, and then she's probably looking at things through a civilian lens on that level. Like I want to get away from this. I don't want to get a
When I tell you that brother was tight, like
yeah,
when I tell you he was tight,
yeah,
like he was super tight, and and Nori was kind of clowning him a little bit. Nori was like, "Yo, you look like you're still not over it, right?" And he was
yeah,
like, "Yo,"
yeah.
and he was like, "Not," he said, "not on the relationship level, but to say I can't do the murder, ain't no more."
But maybe what happens is not everyone can separate the business and personal,
Right.
and
Yeah. And
it's like
that's clearly what's happening with Irv. It's clearly he's not able to delineate the two, right? Where it's like, hey, I had a personal relationship with her, and he's looking at it like, yo, like I changed her life, like you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like she regardless of everything else, she at least owes me enough to represent this Murder Inc. shit, because she wouldn't be who she is without it. I
but
get it.
but when do you? But I think what the next question is going to be is when do you grow and be able to say, okay, I want to do my own thing. I want to put on my own people, and maybe I want to move away from that lifestyle or that look. You know, um,
Well, you
how
got,
do you?
if that's the case, then she needs to do that. Let's not talk about re-recording no Murder Inc. songs. Let's not talk about all of that. Let's talk about building new songs. Let's talk about building new albums. Let's talk about this new catalog that I'm gonna make.
Mhm.
These new sets of producers that I got. You know, if we were really talking about moving on from Murder Inc., then we shouldn't be spending the last 20 years performing the legacy music.
Mm,
Right? We have plenty of time to create new shit. Right?
yeah,
A lot of artists move on and continue to do their situation. If we're talking about maybe say Lloyd's Banks right now, you move on. Like he say he'll always be G Unit, but at the end of the day, he's doing his own thing and he's moving on.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Game, so forth and so on. You move on. Right? You can't continue to say, okay, I'm gonna keep, you know, singing, the Murder Inc. songs, the classics, and then say, I don't want a part of it. Come on, man. Like, come on. Like, which one is it? So it's kind of double talk. It's double talk, double speak, and I can see why that man's so tight. Man, tight behind it. Like honestly, like, come on, man. Like, I don't think people want to. People don't. I want to be respectful because she has history in some of the things that she's accomplished.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? But again, and I challenge anybody. You remove Ja Rule from some of those hooks or whatever. You remove some of his writing ability. You remove Irv from that production. You tell me what you get with that artist.
yeah, yeah. And that comes down to also, uh, business and personal relationships. Is that's not something everyone can handle.
Right.
Clearly, that's if that's something you're jumping into, you got to be very clear on what the goal is and how you communicate and how are you going to move this business forward. you know, because if that stuff gets blurred and there's miscommunication and then emotions and all of these things that jump into the pan, you know, you could create a recipe for a bad situation. So, you know, as you can see with Murder Inc., there were just so many different things going on at the same time. You know, the 50 situation, the
Mm-hmm.
indictment,
Yeah.
and then you know you got to remember even the district, I think Universal even pulled out like, oh, you know, we got to remove ourselves from this whole situation because you know once the feds get involved, they start seizing assets and locking things down, and they start doing the money trail,
Right.
and they can easily if it's a RICO or anything like that, you know, anything you're attached to that is funding, it will be looked at as well, you know. So it's you know, it could be, it's understandable for anyone to be nervous when something like that happens, you know. And again, it really comes down to what your views are. But if you're going to work with someone, if you're going to have that kind of relationship, you got to be very clear of your intentions, loyalty. What are you in it for? You know, what are you in it for? And there's a certain level of respect, and there's a certain level of there's an expectation when someone puts you on, you know, you gotta you know at least you know pay homage. You gotta give that person the respect because again, like you said, look at like Snoop and Dr. Dre. Look at that situation. You know, Snoop always, you know, show love to Dre or show out to Dre or come through for Dre. You know, 50 Cent always talks highly of Eminem no matter what.
No matter
You
what.
know, no
Right
matter
there.
what, always talks. You know, there's so many artists that you know, no matter what the situation is, maybe they had a falling out in this and that, but they'll always say that you know I'll take nothing away from this person put me on, put in a position to win. You know, I wouldn't have this type of career, you know, if this person didn't take a chance or allow
Right.
me to
Give me
be,
opportunity.
you know, in this circle. So, you know, you got to look at all of those things, you know, and um, a lot of artists, especially upcoming artists, they don't recognize these things. Um, a lot of them are selfish. A lot of them, oh, I did it on my own. I did it. You can't do any of this on your own. You can't do any of this on your own. You got to be connected. Someone has to co-sign you somewhere. That's just how it is. You you get to a certain point, but after that, you need somebody to open that door. You need somebody to say, okay, that's the guy that you want to speak to. This is the guy that you want to, you know, walk you into this room. These are the people that over here that's responsible for this, for taking your record here. These are the people here that get you these endorsement deals. These are the people here that get you these shows. Like, you can't do it on your own. And for a person to sit here and think about that they did it on their own and beat their chest, I did it on my own. And for a person who put them on, for them to beat their chest and act like they had nothing to do with them, it just is bugged out to me, you
But
know.
then the other thing is like people get upset. They say, "Well, why your favorite artist don't put nobody on?"
Come on.
And that's the exact reason why your favorite artists, they're not sharing their resources, they're not sharing their network, and it's because of the disingenuous, the disloyal, the But I can't 100% fault everyone because you have to understand that we're coming from desperate and broken means, right? So because a lot of the inner city artists, or we're coming from such levels of despair. I can't even say people know how to operate in these fields. They don't even understand how reciprocity works because they're so used to just dealing with lack. You know what I mean? And not understanding how to manage when things start to change. And you just see, like you said, you see the selfishness come out, you see this happening, you see that happening, And I just sometimes I want to chalk it up to inexperience. I want to chalk it up to ignorance, but at the same time,
I also want to chalk it up to like entitlement, man.
that too.
Like how dare Chuck, like this topic like kind of gets to me because you will get an email, you will get a text or DM, put me on. Like who the hell are you? And why am I obligated to put you on? There's millions of people out there.
Millions of people out there.
Outside of my circle, outside of my peoples, why do you feel that you get to surpass all of those people? Why do you feel that what you have is better or what you're offering is better than the millions of people before you that's closer to me? Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
because I'm hot, son. I'm hot. I'm hot. I got hot fire.
And then, they will get upset if you don't take the time out of your busy day to do, like, there's no appreciation. None.
No,
if we take, we're taking time out of our day that we could be with our families to just drop jewels and just to talk to the people and offer just free game.
Right. Who's doing that? Who's doing that?
And there's a lot of people hit us up and we'll talk to them. We say, hey, do this, do that, don't do this. Free. And taking time out of our day. They'll ask us questions and we'll jump into a social platform and we'll answer questions and we'll do this and I like this or I don't like that. You should do this, you should do that. And so many people they're charging a grip just for a blanket, just for a broad reply.
Not even a reply, not even an answer.
Not even
half
an
of the
answer.
time.
So when they say, "Oh, why don't you put me on? Put me on." No, you got to put yourself on. You gotta make yourself marketable. You gotta make yourself valuable. You gotta go out there and shake hands and walk around and make the music and you gotta do the research. Jug, like I would spend days on the internet knowing who's who. I would look around, I'll say who's who, who's the VP of this, who's the marketing of that. And I would go and click on a picture, know who that is, go to company websites, go to all these music websites, go to the functions, know who that is, shake their hands, and then I would do it repeatedly because the person is not going to be in that same position probably by the end of the year. It rotates. Someone has lost their job, someone got promoted. Like you got to take it upon yourself as an artist to know who's who. And a lot of times, artists would, I need a manager. I need to be signed to this. They're not gonna do it for you. You got to do it yourself. And it's so frustrating time after time to get these DMs and get these emails or these texts. Put me on. Can you put me on? And I'm like, okay, how? Like what do you have?
Why?
What do you have to offer?
Yeah.
That the other 50 DMs didn't say. Where does this entitlement come from? What makes you special? I haven't heard a record from you. I click on your page, I don't see anything. So what do you mean put you on? Where's the work?
And even if we did hear the record, it's probably mediocre.
But where's the record? Where's the work? Where's the work ethics? Yeah. What have you done? Where's the consistency? I don't see anything. So a lot of times, you got to blame yourself. You got to look at the person in the mirror. And it's just the situation with the loyalty and put me on, and then you do put them on, or you do find a way to bring them into your circle, and expose them to this and provide opportunities and this and that, and they do grind and they become something. Then they turn around and they don't reciprocate. They don't appreciate.
Nope.
I did it myself. Self-made.
Right.
You know. Okay.
Okay.
you
Okay.
know.
Yeah. Listen. I listen. This is the thing. This is the thing that when we first came to Atlanta, and I used to see a lot of these artists. And I used to be at Rodney Streets. Remember running around trying to and I say, hey, you're hot right now, but I've been here for a while. They won't you know what Craig Mack used to say, you won't be around next year.
Mm-hmm.
And you just it comes, it goes, and these guys thinking that it's not going, it's going to last forever, and you don't need anybody, you're self-made, you don't put the right team together, you can shit on everybody. Okay, see how long it lasts. We watch it. We watch it. We watch careers just careen like
Yeah.
what happened? Because they keep changing the team, they keep burning bridges. They don't know how to build the relationships with the folks. Everybody is fuck you. Okay.
Yeah.
Talented people are not going to want to work with you. You need talented and competent people. Period. Like that's the situation here, and the disloyalty, people don't like to see that shit. People don't like to see it, but people don't like to see it on any levels. Because if I see you treating that person that way, how long before you treat me that way?
Right. Right. Right.
If I see you doing this with this person and we not dealing with these people right, how long before you take that on me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I can't remove that part of me from being, from where I'm from. I'm from the Bronx. I see things a certain way. So when I see people being mistreated a certain type of way, how long before you want to try to put that oppression on me?
Right.
Nah, it's not. It's
Like,
not going. It's not going down. So we're prepared now. Like if you're trying to, you see what you're doing with that person, we're not gonna let you do that to us. So it's that thing where keep trying to tell folks, man. Like, listen, people are always watching you, and they're these relationships, man. Like, if y'all want to keep playing games with these relationships, go ahead, knock yourself out. But stand up people, they gonna last. They're always
yeah.
gonna be around.
Yeah. They're always. And we said this on another podcast. Good business. You do good business. You're a stand-up person. People remember that. People come back,
Yeah,
and they want to continue doing business with good people.
that's it.
There's nothing that there's nothing that's so dope that you do a successful deal, a successful project, and some years pass by and they come back around, or another opportunity opens up because they heard that this guy recommended, or this person said, hey, they could do good business. This was successful. These guys are good. These guys are good guys. You know, we've got a lot of deals or a lot of situations, a lot of opportunities. These guys are good guys. You want to work with them.
All the time. Like all the time. That's the one thing that I think that we pride ourselves on. Like have some integrity, man.
And the funny thing is, we've done business with so many different kinds of people.
Right.
So many
It's not
different kinds of
just
people.
it's not just one
Yeah,
segment of people. It's from the
and
corporate of corporate to the grimy of grimy.
the one thing that um an advice that I would always give you, no matter who you do business with, you, you gotta stay solid. Stay solid. Stay grounded. You know, don't try and do some funny business. Don't try that, because that's when you get jammed up. When you start moving funny, you're gonna get jammed up. You know, you take time in building your character so that even when somebody else tries to throw dirt in your name, everyone knows that nah,
Nah.
not them. They do good business. They've always done good business.
What did you do?
Yeah.
like what did you do to mess that up?
Yeah.
Like that? No, those guys, not them. What did you do? You know, I want to before we get out of here. I want to switch. I want to switch gears to another another content ID thing that's been kind of coming up with, particularly with the royalty with loops again. I hate this. I hate this topic. This topic is kind of it
Here we
kind of
go
work.
again.
Shit works my nerves. But I saw a post from another producer where they were talking about uh, people going on Splice or whatever, loop content makers, and basically taking a whole bunch of loops, adding minimal stuff to it, uploading it to the DSPs,
Mm-hmm.
and then your music is getting flagged because you're using, say, the same popular loops, because sometimes they're like the top popular loops or whatever. So they were talking about people getting robbed because they're getting content ID strikes, so forth and so on. So if you're using royalty-free loops again, let's put it out there again, producers, artists, songwriters, so forth and so on. If you're using royalty-free loops, i.e. places like Splice, etc., you should be processing your loops. You should not just be taking the loop as it is and then just using it, and then that's going to put you in danger of a content ID or copyright strike once somebody else takes the same loops and uploads it to a DSP.
Yeah.
You should be either truncating, you should be chopping, you should be maybe, processing it with different effects. You should be looking to alter it from the original to create some level of originality to the content.
Right. Yeah.
Like, for goodness sake, let's stop being so lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Because what happens is you risk, if you just snatch it as is, throw some drums on it, and you upload it, yeah, you risk being flagged. Especially in the beginning, if you have an intro and you just let the loop play for the first couple of first bar or two, right there out the gate, you're gonna get snagged. So yeah, that definitely.
Yeah, you got to do something to it. You just can't just take it and just say, hey, the loop is just dope. Like, nah, you can't do that. Like, you can, but then you got to deal with the repercussions of somebody else doing the same shit, content ID the shit, and there's no way for us to differentiate who gets it first and so forth and so on.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
so your best bet is to kind of try to do some sort of produce it, right? Let's alter it. Let's be a musician. Let's be a beat maker, whatever we got to do to kind of alter those loops a little bit to kind of give you a little bit of leeway. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is, if you do happen to get the strike, so you didn't change the beat like you should have. You put your song out. Somebody else puts the song out with the same sample, their content ID, and now flagging your song. You can take a portion of the terms of service that's in Splice on their website, and you can use that to appeal your content ID or copyright strike. So you can use that to appeal it, and hopefully, in most cases, should work. It should just say, hey, we all got it from the same place, Splice, and it's able to be used, without any type of issues. That's the solution to that problem. It's a pain in the ass.
You can't monetize though.
You should still be able to monetize because the terms of service allows you to do so as long as you put it into a new recording. So it does allow you to do that. So YouTube, it just what it'll do is that YouTube will basically whitelist your channel against that other person's.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? So now YouTube will basically say, okay, this person can't claim, because remember with the content ID, they're able to claim the monetization. So now you get to remove that, and they're not able to claim the monetization for that particular song from your channel. But if 10 other people don't do that, then it's free money for them.
Right.
So, a lot of people don't want to go through the extra step because it's complex, because you have to literally go into the terms of service, highlight the portion of the usage rights, take that portion of it now, put it into your appeal. And that kind of, those extra steps for a lot of folks,
Yeah, man. And speaking of extra steps, man, like Since we're already on the topic, like this week, I ran into a few uh, beat making pack websites, and they say royalty free, but when you go into some of these terms and when you really read the fine print, a lot of them are saying, hey, you got to contact the producer if for usage. If you want to really know for which pack or which beat, you know, it's all a free for all. And again, you guys got to be very careful. You got to know your source, where you're getting these beats from, and what the terms are. You really got to contact them and find out, because what's happening too often is you going in there, oh, royalty free, and you grab it up, make your beat, and then here you go, you're trying to sell it to a major artist, and then you find out that you gotta contact the beat, the supplier, you gotta contact the pack maker, you gotta and that person has negotiation rights, and you could be
It's
good.
it's a sneaky way to insert themselves into the negotiation path.
Yeah, so
It's
now
really, really,
so
really
now
sneaky way, man.
so now that beat you just did is now produced by you and the other person. So you just I gotta laugh because this is kind of it's ingenious. Like, they sat back, you actually shot their beat for them. They sat back, they put the beat pack for sale, they charge you $30, $50, and they making all the money off of that. They're just sitting back and letting you guys do all the work. Go ahead, take the
Yeah.
time out of the day, make all these beats. Hundreds of people making beats. And then all they got to do is, when one of those guys decides to get a placement or gets a placement, you got to come back and negotiate, rights and fees and publishing and all of this other stuff. So you
And
guys got
listen,
to,
and by right, they should be able to do that, right? But it's just that they're not selling the beat packs as such,
right, right,
right? They're misrepresenting it
right,
to kind of snag you into using it, because you're like, damn, this shit is dope. It's royalty free. I can use it. Now realizing that you don't even know what the terms are.
right,
Like, you won't even know what the terms are until it's too late, until you've already perpetuated some sort of placement.
right.
Like, that's the hardest part, is to perpetuate a placement, whether it be a sync, whether it be a music placement with an
Mhm.
artist. Like, that's the hardest part of it. So what these guys are doing is that they're multiplying their chances, which is, again, like you said, ingenious. But
Yeah,
kind of disingenuous on the back end, saying, hey, well, you know, if you get it placed, you got to still come back to us. You got to do this, and it's not 100% royalty free. It's only royalty free if it's not distributed by a major.
yeah.
If it's distributed by a major, all of a sudden deal is off. Like, come on, man. Like, I get it. Like, I do. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. But I would encourage producers to stand clear of that. Like,
Yeah.
just, yeah, just stand clear of that. Like, if that's the game y'all want to play, y'all need to go out, do your own legwork, and go get your own placements.
Yeah.
Like, that's you know what I'm saying? Because obviously the loops are dope. If the loops are dope enough that's getting placements, then y'all should be out here getting them placements. But y'all don't want to do the work. Y'all want
There
other
you
people to
go.
do. Y'all want other people to do the work, and you want other people to use their relationships, and
Hmm.
then you basically getting free relationship. No, 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 no. No free relationships. No free access. It's like, there's no, that's a dead. People take years to build up these Rolodexes and this access. So there's no free access anymore. You know, you want to get connected to something, it should cost you, because
Hmm.
again, it takes us years to build these relationships, man. Like, I can't begin to stress that. Like, people just feel like, they should just be able to just walk in the same doors that you walked in. When
Yeah.
you've been holding that door for years and building up your strength, and all of a sudden these folks just want to waltz in and like, oh, okay. Fuck all that. Excuse me. You know, like it really kind of works my nerves. Like how you said a little bit. Like it works my nerves because it's like, how dare you, man? Like, how dare you discount what it took to build this type of stuff? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
the blood, sweat, the sacrifices.
Yeah. If
You
you
know,
reach out and you say, yo, let me reach out to talk to Joe, Fat Joe, or whatever. That's because we went through trenches with him years and years and years ago for something. So, you know, not that he owes us anything, but if it's like, hey, that's a relationship that we built through work
and from a long time.
from a long time ago.
You know,
Period.
Wu-Tang as
Wu
well. You
Tang,
know,
same thing. So, you know, whether it be that or if it's a Nas or if it's anybody, you know, it's like you build these relationships over time. So no one is entitled to your relationships and your access. If you want that, you're gonna have to now build a relationship with us, and it's gonna take time for you to get that access. We're not gonna just give up that access just
yeah, yeah.
you know, and
Absolutely.
just and again, you could pay for the access, you know, but it still doesn't mean you have a relationship.
But here's the thing. They say your network is your net worth.
That's right.
You know, so your access is your value. You are only as valuable as your access
Yeah,
and what you can perpetuate.
that's right.
If you don't have anything to offer, you're dead in the water. And if you're in this game, you have to offer something of value, tangible. you know, and it has to be undeniable. And I'm not talking about, oh well, I offering a record. No, that's subjective. You know, everybody has a record. You know,
And so,
my my
and in some cases, your money ain't good here either.
yeah, yeah. So you have to bring something to the table that really can't be duplicated.
It's real.
You know, like everyone has different relationships and have a different uh, level of access. This person may have the relationship, but it may not be as tight and solid as our relationship, and vice versa.
And vice versa. Yeah.
So the other thing is that this business is very small. So again, if you want to go and burn bridges, it's going to get around. If you want to not do the legwork, it's gonna show.
Folks, that's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, man.
Yeah, and this is a special edition venting session.
Listen, I don't even I try to stay out of that. Like, you know, we always said we wanted to use our platform to be a little bit more professional, not really, you know.
But I have to say that just like all of upcoming artists, we get frustrated too. You guys get frustrated with some of the roadblocks and challenges, and we get frustrated too with a lot of things. So sometimes we may come out here and be a little passionate about some of the things we speak about, or we may have a certain experience. And look, we would hate for some of y'all to go through some of these experiences, some of these
Some of them
roadblocks, some of these dead ends,
some
and
of them
that
you
is the
can't get back from either.
yeah, you can't get the time back. And that's one of the reasons why we put this podcast together, so you guys can stay clear of some of the frustrations, some of the challenges that you don't need to, and y'all can kind of speed track on and concentrate solely on your grind and where you got to go. Because some of these turns, challenges, and dead ends is just it's you don't need it. It does nothing but slow you down, uh, robs you of your finances, robs you of your time, and in this day and era, time is very valuable.
Word.
So you wanna make sure you have that time to concentrate on your craft, to concentrate on learning the business. So Arkatech Beatz. This is our podcast, and we hope that we're delivering you some information that you're going to be able to apply to your career and to your life.
Get that man some claps on that one right there. Bro. Get that man that claps on that. It's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, folks. Yo, check us out on basically all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. It's all over the place. TikTok, so forth, so on. Twitter, LinkedIn, just where you can find the content. It's everywhere. We have a bunch of things that are going to be coming up. Book on music publishing, trying to tie that up. It's important, and just some different other things as it relates to the music business. Just got to help people to get their business in order, because I see a lot of gaping holes, and you're going to get yourself burned, and you're going to be missing out on income. And in this game, you can't afford to do that. So there'll be some different things that we'll be creating in the future coming up. Patreon coming, a few other things that's coming up. So just stay tuned. But until next time,
peace.
This is Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, folks. See you next week.
Arkatech